All right, the plot is thickening. It is thickening like a good old soup. I don't know what kind of soup, a stew maybe. We know what the Empire is up to. We know what all these primals are being used for. We have a Cid, a Biggs, a Wedge, and an airship. It's all starting to come together. Welcome back, Classic Crew, to Journal 4 in my journey to play through Final Fantasy XIV up at least until the end of A Realm Reborn to see what my first impression of this game is like. And so far, I've shared how the game is kind of stale. A lot of fun elements, a lot of potential, but the plot is very light, it's very thin, and there's a lot of running around doing mindless things. It's still mostly that, but now there's some bigger elements coming together. So since the last journal, I've now played about 4 streams, so that's roughly 16 hours. Some of you have asked for a level update, not on my character, but on my main story quest. By the time I finished up to now, I am at level 44, so that's what I have done. Last time I was looking at Little Alamigo or something. We were on the hunt for Ralger. We saw that quest line through till the end, and it was just very anticlimactic. We learned the youth don't like being in Little Alamigo. They want their homeland back, but they're not strong enough. And then we're like, okay, everything seems cool here. And so we went to the next problem, which was the face thief. This was interesting. So we had a face thief to deal with, and we started investigating that, and that led us to Hake Manor, which had this whole story of a mage or something who was really obsessed with her beauty herself, and she didn't want to age, so she started stealing other young maidens' faces to stay young. Which, how does that even make sense? You can't just like grab a face and just stretch it over your own face. That's not how beauty works, because if that would work... Anyways, so that was a very interesting dungeon that had Lady Amandine in there. She was the bad lady. So we solved that. We took her face completely off of her head and made sure she's not going to be stealing any more faces from now on. Then we heard, oh no, another primal is stirring in the deep. This one, Titan, we better do something about it. Hurry, let's, what should we do? Oh, let's go ask the old company of heroes who beat him the last time. And I was like, well, why don't we just ask them to do it? But no, these guys don't want to fight Titan again. They just want to have a banquet. So it really makes me wonder about the seriousness of primals. This is apparently a company that understands the threat of primals, has the power to defeat primals, but when you go ask for their help, they're like,
are these the world's most crispy fries?
Makes no sense at all, but whatever. We had some questing to do, so from this point on, there was a fake dude before meeting all these company heroes. The fake dude was interesting. He had some interesting elements. I like that dude as a character. I fought a rock with him. I beat him. We called him out for what it was. And then I went on the wildest goose chase, which I'm learning is not a one-off, but there are many of these. To earn the favor of the company of heroes, I had to go and get like a frog egg, another kind of egg. I had to get some wine, but then I revived a wine that apparently went extinct during the whole apocalypse, but we found something on one of a Gubu, and now we're good. Also, I have learned that Gubus piss, which may not sound like an interesting thing, but I'm kind of obsessed with Gubus, and there's a character that said you should go drink some Gubu urine or something. I'm like, yeah, anyways, we got the wine, we got the cheese, we got everything. We threw the banquet, and then they're like, aha, you're one of us now. Here's the secret to get in and fight Titans. So we went down, fought Titan. Some people like to call him a chicken nugget. I don't know why. I don't think he looks like a chicken nugget. Anyways, it was a fun time. He was a lot better than Ifrit, in my opinion. And so I fought Titan. Very cool. Not as muscular as all the other Titans from other Final Fantasy. Pause on the story for a moment, because I did forget to also mention, up to this point, I've been playing on the free trial, but I have finally purchased the Deluxe Collector Mega Super Ultimate Edition, which gives me all of the beautiful candy. And so I now have full access to the game, which means I now have my own retainer, which is what they choose to use as a word, but we all know what this role is. And I dubbed him Chatsworth. So Chatsworth is carrying all of my stuff now. And I got a bunch of new mounts and companions. The most noticeable is the Fat Chocobo, which was one of the things I really wanted. I got a little slime who follows me. I got a melon from a character named Melanie, which was pretty cool until I learned that the melon splits itself. So that gave me a little heart attack. He's a cute little watermelon though. And the companions is really cool. I get some of these characters from Final Fantasy 12. I got, I think his name is Kane from Final Fantasy 4 who follows you. And then this little dragoon thing. While I was unlocking all these things in my inventory, I also came across this thing which was called Fantasia. And I wasn't really reading these things. I just assumed everything was a companion or a minion that needed to be like activated. And so I checked this thing with Fantasia, which I now learned that allows me to change my character's gender identity and everything. So every time I log in, I now have to say, no, I don't want to change. That was a mistake. But I like the idea that anytime I can change my gender, because the thing is, in this game, I think the women are way more beautiful than the men. Although the men are quite beautiful as well. Like, I can't get over how handsome my character is. But you look at, I think 90% of the dudes I play with all play as ladies in this game for reasons. Otherwise, I also got gifts now. So I've got good old Takashi, one of the mentors in Final Fantasy 14, who gave me a samurai chocobo outfit. He also gave me a little samurai outfit, which is cool. Everybody is banking on me becoming a samurai at level 50, which, you know, they're probably right. All right, unpause, back to the story. Okay, so we've just beaten Titan. We're going back. We're like, all right, we just did it. This is the second primal, easy stuff. But then I learned the Scions got ransacked and murdered, and my whole hideout, a mess. So now this is, I feel, where the story starts getting a little bit interesting. We got Minfilia that got captured. Everybody's murdered. There's actually a quest for burying your friends, which is, but we say friends, we didn't actually know them on a first name. Although we did know the lettuce, they killed the lettuce, which makes me very sad. So we killed everybody. We didn't kill, we buried everybody. And then we went back to church to pray for them. And here there was an old man. And this is a really funny story. So if you've played Final Fantasy 14, you know I'm referring to Cid. And I know that there's a Cid character in every Final Fantasy game. You know, I recently encountered Biggs and Wedge. So I'm like, when will Cid show up? And anyways, as I'm talking to this cloaked guy that I forget his name, but they gave him a name. Based on what I can see on his face, this guy looks like someone you would name Cid in a Final Fantasy game. And the whole chat was like, oh. I seriously had zero idea this would be a flip. And it's like, aha, I'm Cid. I was like, wow, that's quite the plot twist that caught me by surprise, even though I called it, but it still caught me by surprise. Okay, so we got a Cid. He lost his memory and he lost his airship. All elements which make a fantastic Final Fantasy game. So now we're going on a quest to find the airship dubbed the Enterprise, which crashed 5 years ago in a place called Coertha, which I'm pretty much going to dub Final Fantasy France, because all the names in Coertha are French. And there's all these houses of lords with French names. And so I just decided, for the fun of it, I'm narrating this whole game, by the way, as I go. So if you ever want to see me to do terrible voice acting, join me on twitch.tv/AJOfficial. So I'm doing French accents for all of this. And it's not, you know, racist because I'm half French. So I can kind of pull off a French accent. I don't know. That said, all these fetch quests in Coertha did set up for a very interesting dynamic of the world, how there are all of these French houses, all these traditions, and that they're all like fighting this kind of like draconian race that's trying to invade their lands, and they're like trying to deal with murders between the houses. Like, it feels a little Game of Thrones-ish. And then we learn that there's a traitor. So long story short, this guy named like Guillaume or whatever his name is, he's an imposter that's trying to get everybody to murder each other. And then we learn he's just one of the dragon dudes. And then we kill him, which, by the way, I actually died. So this is probably one of the first times I died on a main story quest on my own, because the boss killed a guy that wasn't supposed to die, so I wasn't good at pulling the aggro away. So good job, game. You taught me an important lesson here. You've got to keep your aggro away from your NPCs, especially if you're soloing it. So yeah, with that out of the way, it opened up the dungeon where I get the Enterprise, called the Stone Vigil, with a very cool boss. At the end, I'm like, I hope that there's a dragon, a big dragon in this dungeon. And there was. His name was I don't know if I'm saying this right, but it's like Isgebind or something. He was a cool dragon. Fairly easy fight. I've also done another optional dungeon called the Zemil Darkhold, which was all right. And I've started wiping with my parties now, so we're not just breezing through the dungeons. Once it was the healer Blue decided to go for a chest instead of healing us, so we all died. So freaking good job, greedy healer. And then in another one, I think we played wrong and we wiped a few times. So I'm starting to taste defeat now, even in the company of my viewers who are guiding me through these dungeons. So with all of that said, I took a short break once I got the airship back to go and catch up on some of my bard quests. So I did my level 40 and level 45 bard quests. And I have to say, the more I play archer and bard, the more I hate it. Everything about this outside of the gameplay of these classes is terrible. The story. So I have already shared my thoughts on the archer part of the story. The bard, I'm introduced to a mentor, a legendary bard, who I've now learned has basically abandoned the way of the bow because he's ashamed of his past. He's a depressed dude who tries to lose himself in song. And I'm like, oh yeah, because that makes me want to play bard so much. I gotta follow this depressed guy just because he did that. I guess that's the path of the archer now. It's so dumb. I hate it. Because archer could have evolved into so many things, but why bard? And then to top it off, the depressed guy, when he decides he's less depressed, he's like, oh, by the way, I have this legendary clothing which can be yours, except I was so depressed I scattered it around the world in the most inconvenient places. And I'm just like, why am I doing this? And so I went around in the dumbest places to get this coral attire to just look like this. Look at these pants. The hat is nice. I like the hat, but these pants are the most disgusting yoga pants no dude of mine should ever be wearing. So the game, like, not the story, the look, it's just like, give me my samurai class. I think I'm 3 levels away from getting the samurai class unlocked, and then I'm going full samurai. Screw this bard melodramatic stuff. Okay, so yeah, we got the ship back so that we could break into Garuda, but she's got a storm around her. And so the airship can't penetrate the storm, so we need corrupted crystals to open up a portal through the thing to go to Garuda, the next primal. All fascinating stuff, by the way. So I'm off to get this corrupted crystal from a scholar that Sid knew, and this whole thing is another fetch quest just like the freaking Company of Heroes. And the game knows it too, because so the first time you go to the desert, you go get a crystal, and they're like, oh, thank you so much, you did it. You got the fire crystal. I'm like, oh, I need a wind crystal. You should go talk to this lady in the pirate town. So you go there, you do her whole thing of like saving a haunted island and getting that crystal. And she's like, haha, you did it. You got the ice crystal. And you're like, what the go to the forest, they're definitely going to give you the good one. And then you go there, you do some quest of like killing a thing that ate the crystal, and he gets it, he's like, haha, you got the earth crystal. And then you're about to check your control, he's like, wait, no, trolling, ha, you got the right one. Thanks, game, thanks for acknowledging that you are wasting my time here. So now we got our crystal. We got backstory exposition on Sid. So now I've learned Sid was part of the Empire, was born into the Empire, was abandoned by his daddy because his daddy needed to do Empire stuff, was adopted by an evil daddy who is now super evil. And he's got a plan to take this like dragon construct that they seem to have built, which is cool. So we fought Garuda, definitely the most interesting primal fight so far. So best out of 3. And then when we defeat her, you know, she's got some attitude. She's talking. She's like strategic. I like Garuda. Gaius shows up and he's like, haha, you are weak. And she's like, oh, I'm not weak. And then she summons Ifrit and Titan. And she's like, oh, we're going to rule the world. And he's like, ah, perfect. And then he like gets his dragon thing to absorb all 3 primals. And we're like, hold up. This is some bad news. And then he laughs away and we're like, whoa, the Empire is rocking some superpower here. We got to like regroup and rethink what we're doing here. And so now I've left off where I've got Castrum. I've learned Minfilia is in an Imperial base called Castrum Sentry, and I have to go rescue her, and I have to go avoid freaking feeding more primals to the Empire thing. So this is really building up into something. I've gotten all my 6 crystals. Nothing has happened yet. I thought a seal would have been broken when I captured all those crystals, so that hasn't happened. I think I am the Warrior of Light. I don't think the game has outright said it, but they've pretty much strongly suggested it in some of these flashbacks with Sid. So I'm like, that's kind of a plot twist to not be lightly teasing. What are you doing? So I'm the Warrior of Light, I think. So I suspect the Empire, along with the followers of the Moon God, are trying to get access to Bahamut, which is sealed away by the Scions of the Seven Dawns, and they want to unseal it so that they can suck the power, put it into the machine. This is all speculation, by the way, so that they have the most ultimate power and they can rule the world and do what they want with it. And I think the rogue figure have a like-mindedness of like, yeah, let's get Bahamut unsealed. But then I think, the Empire's like, yeah, we're going to steal the power, whereas the followers of Dalamud, they just They just want Bahamut to come back and like they want him to destroy, like rule the world. So I think if they do unseal, and then we want to unseal, I think, because I'm collecting crystals. So I think a reason. I think the Scions of the Seven Dawn want to unseal to like save their daddy somewhere. So I think we're all trying to unseal this thing, which sounds like a terrible idea with all different motives. And I think this is where we're heading for the climax. And then what's going to happen after that? Who knows? Who knows? Everyone tells me A Realm Reborn is just setting the foundation for a greater story. So I'm seeing the foundation being poured. I have no idea what's going to be built on this though. It just looks like a hole with concrete right now. So that's where I'm at. Those are my thoughts with Final Fantasy 14. Hope you're enjoying my updates. I'll be back with a pretty significant update because we're getting close to level 50. So I assume that's the end of A Realm Reborn. I don't know. And I'll see you on that next journal. Until next time, keep it classy.